Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Pigskin Breakdown show. I am Ghost Brandon Leonard, joined as always by my good buddy Jay Jordan Cole. Jay, how are we doing on this beautiful evening?
Doing great. Going to talk some big college football games coming up this year across all levels in Iowa. And yeah, I'm just jacked up, ready to get the season started.
You bet. I'm ready to talk about it too. Among other things, there's one date in particular that we really want to discuss, as well as the newly released D3Football.com rankings for the preseason. So seeing these rankings kind of adds a little bit more weight to these games, specifically on this one date that we want to cover. So we're going to dive into that here in just a little bit. A few housekeeping items. Be sure to like, subscribe to all of our channels, follow along with our stuff. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter /X. We're really having a lot of fun with this. Peacock Corner Show, Warren and Peacock Schrock have been grinding their butts off. Had Coach Hoskins on this week. The show just dropped. Coach Hole, the volleyball program leader as well. Chad Harbers putting out shows left and right on the Chad Harbert Show and the High School Huddle. And then deep in the valley, Bowser and Duttler. You're going to have to see all the episodes that they've recorded, all the work they've been putting in. So just don't take our words for it. Go find our page on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Check out what we're doing. Jay, enough rambling about those guys. We're going to talk a little bit about football. Let's start off with the D3Football.com rankings, okay? So top 25 comes out. Not a big surprise that North Central is leading the way at number one. They have been perennial national powers the last several years, national runner-up last year, and they're joined by your smorgasbord of other schools. Bethel at 2, Mount Union 3, Johns Hopkins 4, Wheaton 5, UW Platteville 6, UW River Falls, the defending national champions at 7, John Carroll at 8, and then, hey, pretty familiar face at 9, Jay, Wartburg Knights.
Yeah, ARC getting some representation in there. Got to love it.
Absolutely. UW La Crosse rounds out the top 10. And then if you scroll down about a dozen spots, number 22, another familiar face, Jay. Who do we got there at number 22?
Our beloved Cohawks. And yeah, hoping it's going to be a good season. They've had some turnover there, offensive side of the ball, but super excited for that's what sparked this interest for these September 12th games, because as you're alluding to, there are some pretty big matchups within this top 25.
Yeah, no doubt. You talked about turnovers, not even offensively with Coach Donahoe going out to Nebraska Wesleyan, but also Coach Bethke going back to his alma mater down in Pellet Central. Hey, those guys are receiving some votes as well. They're down there. It looks like 48 points was the point total that gets you into the top 25 right now. Randolph-Macon rounds out the top 25. Central's got 9 points, so they're on people's radars, and they're not going to be an easy out for anyone. And man, just keeps getting tougher and tougher. It's deeper than just the top 3. Simpson is going to be a problem. They got a lot of skills that they're bringing back. Same thing we've talked about Loras, a lot of excitement about Loras and Coach Novak coming down and leading the charge there. And yeah, there's a lot to be excited about. So we'll dive into those games that we've got here on September 12th, Jay. You can make the argument that this is the biggest football day in the state of Iowa history as far as collegiate football matchups go. So why don't you tell us about the very first and foremost one? And I'm not talking about the Cy-Hawk game. That one, we'll push that on the back burner, goes without saying. But to start us off with one that you're looking at, Jay, up there in Cedar Falls.
Man, UNI's hosting Drake. I'm just so excited. We've talked so much about Drake football this offseason, and we've got a lot of support from the Drake faithful. So we saw what Coach Walker did with River Falls last year, knocking off North Central in the championship game. His high-flying offense, Top Gun offense, coming into Des Moines, and then now they're going to take a nice little bus trip up to Cedar Falls, take on the Panthers. Personally, I think they're going to challenge UNI. Whether they win the game or not, I don't know. But it's just going to be such a great test for Coach Walker and his crew to see how they're going to make this next leap from D3 to FCS football. And I just believe in them. We talked with Seth Howard, and he got us a little juiced up about how fast they're going to be, how aggressive they're going to be. And I just think this is going to be a coming out party for Drake, maybe on a national scale, maybe get some more eyeballs. What the heck are the Bulldogs building there? And I think as a UNI alum, I did go there for 1 year, only went to classes for a semester, took a semester off, but was still paying room and board. I got to go against my Panthers here. I really think it's going to be a fun one for Drake and that offense, and just see them really compete at this level and just have a really strong season.
Yeah, they certainly talk about turnover as well. There's some obvious turnover there with the coaching staff. A lot of players transferred out, but you also bring some guys in from a number of places, whether that be from high school or the transfer portal from UWRF. I know that Drake is going to be fired up for that one. And hey, you know, the guy that's lead the charge up at UNI, Coach Stepsis, where'd he come from?
Oh, yeah.
Drake. And Drake will have 2 games on their belt before they play UNI. So they start off with a Thursday night opener at Drake Stadium against South Dakota Mines. Then they got to go all the way up to Missoula. Man, that's a tough start to the season, going out to play the Grizz at Montana, and then you got to go back home and play in-state rival UNI. But how cool is that for our state? There's always this chatter with the basketball programs, okay? Why can't the Big Four schools all collaborate and all of them play each other? From a geography standpoint, it makes all the sense in the world. Now I get why Iowa and Iowa State might not want to dive in and play both of them for net analytical stuff. But how cool is it that we get this matchup on September 12th with Iowa and Iowa State playing, UNI at Drake playing? I would be excited to go into the history book, see if that's ever been done in football. Have they all played on the same day, the Big Four schools? Something we might have to delve into there, Jay. But again, awesome matchup. We're excited to see that Top Gun offense go to the Unidome. Should look pretty fast up in that Unidome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would beg to differ that you talk about Drake having all these players coming in. I'd say their biggest transfer coming in is Coach Matheson and that offense that he's going to bring. It's just going to be so much fun to watch all the speed they have. And, yeah, what better way to showcase it than on some nice turf in a dome?
No doubt. Ryan Leonard, our referee extraordinaire, would love this matchup if he wasn't reffing somewhere in the ARC. No doubt about it.
Yep.
So we'll transition from the FCS ranks over to Division III, because our favorite D2 school in the state of Iowa is actually on bye that day. So we'll just pivot on to D3. Jay, we said North Central's the number 1 ranked team in the country, the bar right now in Division III football. You know where they play on September 12th?
Not too far from Drake.
No. Wally Hoove up in Waverly. They're playing the Knights. So potential of a top 10 matchup there in Waverly. And that's not the only top 10 team coming to the state of Iowa. Jay, who else is coming to Iowa that day?
Yeah, defending champs, UWRF. Last year, this may have been the game of the year, UWRF and co. in terms of points scored. I think it was 108 points scored in that game. So there may be some fireworks down at Clark Field and Cedar Rapids as well.
Yeah, what a great start to the year. That's so cool for both programs. The ARC in general, that teams are wanting to test their mettle against each other. It's so neat to see. Great for the conference. And as far as ranked teams go, those are the 2 teams that will be playing in the D3 ranks that are ranked teams in the state of Iowa that day. A few other matchups to note, though. Crown is going to Simpson. Now, Crown was a D3 playoff qualifier last year. Now, with all due respect, the conference that they play in, yeah, it's on the lower side of things. I understand why there's an AQ for everyone, but there's a lot of schools, I think, that are in the ARC that could play in that conference and get that backdoor way into the NCAA D3 playoffs. So that's a big one as well. And then just across the border, you could almost count this as an Iowa game, Jay. UD's got a huge matchup as well on the 12th. Tell us about who they're playing.
Yeah, they're going to Platteville, just a nice little stone's throw away. And again, that'll be another nice test to see what UD can bring to the table this year. It's going to be a pretty tough matchup, but just we keep talking about it. It's just such a good day for football across all levels within the state. And yeah, we'll chalk this one up as an Iowa game.
Yeah, it might as well be. Platteville's sixth-ranked team in the initial polls for D3 football. So, man, how great is it that basically right around inside the borders or just outside the borders, we got 3 of the top 7 teams in Division III football going to be visiting playing teams in the American Rivers Conference. And that's not it, too. There's some other schools that are playing as well, going to be on the road. I know Buena Vista's on the road. They got to make a trip up to Lawrence in Appleton, Wisconsin. Central's got to go up to St. Paul to play Northwestern St. Paul. Loras plays over in Illinois against Benedictine. And then Nebraska Wesleyan, I know not a state of Iowa school, but certainly some ties, and we're going to be keeping tabs on Coach Donahoe over there, the Williamsburg alum. They played Dakota State up in Madison, South Dakota. So that'll wrap up the slate of games over there in the American Rivers Conference. And then we'll touch on some other games here as well at the NAIA level as well, Jay. There was one that really stood out to you. It's not in the state of Iowa, but William Penn, they got a brutal draw for September 12th. Tell us a little bit about who we can expect them to play.
They're heading into Kansas, take on Benedictine. They've been a pretty stout bunch here for the last how many years. I know last year was a good year for them, and William Penn was a good year or good coming out party for Coach Benavidez and crew, but just like to see how they're going to adapt without Dustin Loring in the backfield. I know unreal performance out of him last year. He was definitely their bell cow. So just see how Benavidez and his coaching staff can adapt this year without him running the pill. And he's a hell of a coach. So I think that they'll do a great job. We don't really have very many games within the state at the NAIA level. There's not one. Mount Mercy's got to go to Baker.
Yeah.
Graceland goes to Missouri. Grandview goes to Missouri as well. A lot of guys are going down south a little bit on the road. And
yeah, Clark's on the road as well. They got to go down to Billy Woods.
Yeah.
You get on the GPAC side of things, you start to see a few more home games. Like, goodness, who do we got here? Briar Cliff plays Midland. Not a huge matchup there. Waldorf hosts EW, Dakota Wesleyan. One that is of note, though, in the GPAC, Jay, Northwestern hosts Mount Marty. Now, Northwestern, as we all know, did not have a typical season that they're used to having. Okay. They were last year considered a down year. One of their losses was to Mount Marty and that's a night game. I got to imagine they are going to be revved up, sour taste in their mouth for that one.
Oh, for sure. I remember we had back when we were also doing producer JD on the show, and we were just so shocked at the beginning of the year by Northwest finishing up doing our podcast. They had turned the whole season around, not maybe to their standard, but just don't want to start flat-footed again back-to-back years. So definitely think their piss is going to be a little bit hot for this one, and they're going to come out firing.
No doubt. So that'll be a good one to look out for. Morningside does host Doane. And then pivoting back from NAIA back to the NCAA Division III landscape over the Midwest Conference, we will see Cornell is going to host Beloit over there in Mount Vernon. And then Luther's got to travel to Milliken. So Luther excited to see how they do, man. Really hoping that this pivot to the Midwest Conference pays dividends for them, and they could have a little bit more success on the gridiron and other sports in general too.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it, man. We're going to dive into some more deep dive, make some picks, do some predictions, who's going to win. We'll do that here in the coming weeks before the season starts. But with that D3 football poll coming out, we just felt like we needed to talk about that a little bit and talk about that big date, man. Just September 12th. September
Go,
12th. How lucky
go.
would you be?
It would be such a disservice to not give you the floor here to talk about the biggest game of the day. Go ahead, Cyhawk Trophy. You got to talk about it.
Man, I don't even know if I want to say anything. I'm so fed up with Iowa State and their recent success. On one hand, it's like, man, that does kind of stink that CMC coach Matt Campbell heads out to Crappy Valley and Jim Rogers taking the reins there. I don't know what to think. I think that game's either going to be Iowa State wins 12-10 or something stupid like that, or Iowa just beats the absolute brakes off them. They're due to beat the brakes off them. But they talk about the quarterback controversy. I don't even know if you can call it a controversy, a battle over there in Iowa City. And I saw someone talk about this the other day. I can't remember where I saw it, but they said a QB battle just means you don't have a good option. And boy, I hope they're wrong. There's some things to be optimistic about with hardware Hank Brown. And you read the boards and that he's polished, got good footwork. Klinsky's that kind of gunslinger that maybe we haven't seen in Iowa City in a long time. So I just don't know what to think about that, Jay. I don't even want to think about that right now. Yeah, he got me all worked up before bed here. The first game I'm really excited about in the state of Iowa is we talked about August 27th when we get to watch Drake.
Yeah.
Super amped to get over to Drake Stadium and see that Top Gun offense. If you had to pick a game out of that whole slate, which one are you most excited about? Plenty to be jacked up about. You're kind of, for me, interested to see how does UWRF look without Walker and Matheson.
Yeah, no, I'd agree there. That would be a fun one, especially just not too far. Me go take it all in down there in Cedar Rapids. But I think my favorite is North Central Wartburg. This is so big. I'm not downgrading the other games, but this one's huge for ranking implications. And they've only met one time in their history, and it was in the playoffs in 2023. So North Central knocked them out I believe it was in Waverly, but it was a tight game. And both have been historic juggernauts here, as maybe you say as of late for North Central. Not entirely sure how long the run has been, but Wartburg's been just the cream of the crop in the ARC. So take on a powerhouse in North Central, and the way last season ended for Wartburg, they definitely have to be a little hungry after it felt like they were going to win that game in the playoffs, but ultimately came up short. So yeah, I don't know, just excited. Drake, you and I, it's just, you can't go wrong with all four of these big matchups, and especially some of the smaller ones, if you will, across the board in D3 and NAIA.
Yeah, it'd be a great day to tell a friend, to maybe tell a friend, we're meeting here. Bring a TV, bring a laptop or a tablet. Let's get as many screens rolling as we can, because some of these are staggered out too. North Central and Co, or North Central and Wartburg, and then Co and UWRF, and then UD and Platteville, they're 1 o'clock kickoffs. Simpson doesn't kick off until 6. The Drake UNI game is a 1 o'clock kickoff too, I believe. So just a lot of great football staggered throughout the day. You could certainly get your fill. I know we're going to get our fill. Anyway, looking forward to that, and looking forward to the pads popping, man. Camp's almost here. Practice is almost here. People are going to be reporting back to campus, and there's a lot to be excited about here in the Hawkeye State because, like you said today, hey, it felt like fall. It felt like fall. Super excited for it. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. We appreciate all your support. A lot of fun stuff, like we said, going on at SGI. So for everyone, got Jay Cole here with me, Brandon Leonard. You take care, everyone.